What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now, depending on how I edit this might come out to be back to back with the previous episode, or it might get combined, or maybe in a couple days this video might get released. Now, technically it's a continuation from last episode. It's the same day, but the stuff that I'm working on or I'm going to work on is gonna extend over to the following day. I figured why not start a new episode, that way I can get the first one out to you guys and I can still keep working on the car. Now, there is something I forgot to do last time, and that's mark off the stuff. Now, we have actually finished rewiring the fuel pump, and that is fully done. I've also finished the battery wiring, as well as the radiator fan wiring. So 3 things from last episode, which is pretty awesome. Now, as you guys can see based on the list right here, I am a little bit behind. I mean, it's already at the end of April, and I still have quite a bit of stuff that I was supposed to get done from April. And that is because we kind of skipped to some of the weight reduction. Oh no, it's getting erased. Yeah, we definitely skipped into some weight reduction stuff, some interior stuff, but that's okay. I mean, this is just a general guidelines of what I want to get done anyway. So that brings me to the next part. What are we working on today? Well, there's quite a bit. The first one is I have to relocate this wiring right here. It's a little bit too short if I route it to the top. So I'm going to do that off camera because it's just kind of moving that wiring to the back right there instead of going from the top down. And I'm just going to clean up this wiring just a tad bit. That way it's at least nice and flush. And then I can maybe put in the seat back in. Now we're also going to start cleaning up the side here. So I'm going to go ahead and actually wrap all this wiring right here with this new wrap that I'm trying out. This is actually pretty neat. I didn't know these things existed until I was looking up Amazon. It's pretty cool. It's pretty handy. It's way better than the covers that I usually use. And it looks pretty neat. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap those up as well. So that's going to be one of the projects for today. Now after that is kind of questionable what to do next. Because, yeah. Not sure. I gotta say, this is by far the best thing about the GoPro. It's smaller than the other camera, and with this little clamp mount that I have with you guys on, I can pretty much mount you guys anywhere, and I can show you all these different angles, and it's also wider, so hopefully this works out well. Now I already used the other end of this, so forget which end I used it. Okay, this side. So I need to make sure that I actually should have done this before I left it, but kind of like, I guess you have to like burn the end a little bit so it doesn't spread out, and it just kind of glues itself together. There you go. Alright, now let's start doing this one. About like 25 feet. Should have bought like the 51 because I'm already starting to run out. Hopefully it's enough to get majority of the stuff that I want. I can always buy more. Well, the wire's tucked in and shielded. This wire's not tucked in and shielded also. Now all that's left is in the front right here. Pretty awesome. Alright, so it's time to put all these little gadgets, or at least time to get some power into these little gadgets. So we're gonna be starting over. Actually, you know what? I think this one might be good. So what I'm gonna do is basically just replace all the little clips and kind of give it a power. So the first one I'm doing is for the electric cutout. This has like a really thin wire. I'm surprised it's able to power up the cutouts. And then next up is our shift light. am I missing, guys? Attack, have the wideband, the temp, the boost controller, cut out, so 2, 4. Okay, just 4. Well, what do you guys think? Looks pretty good. I did clean up the side here a little bit, so should be less wires under there. I just need to clean up the clutch wires and then figure out how to connect my boost controller, and of course my OBD2 stuff is on the ground there. But everything else, I think it's pretty much lined up. I mean, I do have to tuck that away. I think after I do those things, we are back in business as far as interior wise. I have some stuff here that I want to install. So this is going to be a heater. It's going to go under there. So kind of have something to make sure my windshield don't fog up and, you know, all that good stuff. With that said, I do want to see whether or not everything works. So let's try it out. Let's see here. Ow, 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 ow. Just hit my head. Alright, let's go ahead and plug this in. Alright. Moment of truth, guys. I hear the pump. That's good. Hear that? That's good. I got light there. Actually gonna go ahead and turn this off. Couple things I'm not getting powered on. Those guys aren't getting power. These guys aren't getting power. Did I tighten up the... Oh, you know what? I forgot to tighten up the key on. Alright, tighten up the key on. Also put the fuse in there. Forgot to put the fuse in. So, let's try it again. Okay, so far so good. So far so good. And so far so good. I gotta mount this back up there later. So far things are working. How do you guys like this color scheme? Check it out. Everything is the same color. Really liking that look. Alright guys, so far so good. Everything seems to be getting the power. I was pretty sure that I had everything hooked up, but you know, there's always that 1% chance, like the other episode. So that means interior wise we are pretty much almost there. I said pretty much almost there, because I do want to route, well, I want to route my boost controller inside the cabin. Like normally I would have routed it on the outside, but because I have 4 turbos and I basically need to make 2 Y connectors on each side and then have it plumb into a Mac valve, I felt like that's gonna be too messy inside the engine bay, so I'll probably just hide it inside the cabin here. So that's one thing that we need to finish right away, because right now I don't have any boost signal at all with that being disconnected. I also don't have a boost gauge right now, so I'm really just relying on my boost controller for my boost setting. After that, then we gotta figure out how to route the lines for the heater. Yeah, that one I'm not entirely too sure. Maybe I'll mount it later, but I keep saying everything's for later. But I'm gonna go ahead and install my boost controller, and this would be so much easier if I didn't have the quads, but you know, we have the quads. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually route this to one side, and then I'll bring it inside here. Oh, you know what? You know, I don't want to do this inside. I'm going to do it outside. It's going to be too much work trying to route it in here and do all that good stuff. So I'm going to go route it outside. Here's a little bit of a challenge with the way it's... Man. This thing's really be bouncing like that. Alright, here's a little bit of a challenge with this. To get a line from one side to the other and then use that line to feed everything. I mean, the easiest way would just be route a line across and just not care about all this stuff, but I do, so then I need to find a different way to route it. And there isn't really a whole lot of space where I could put it through. So the only thing I could really think of is either in the front, like in the bumper area, or right in the bottom. I mean, I could route it through the back here. You know what, I'm pretty sure I have space in this bumper though. Yeah, I think there's a little gap here in this bumper. So I think I can just go through the bumper, come out right there, right where the headlight is. Come up from there, go all the way across, and come out this way. Let's give that a try. Now it's time to install the Turbo Smart solenoid valve. Now typically this thing comes with 3 fittings, which is actually right here, but I had one of this thing left over from my old build, and this is essentially just an air filter. The way you hook it up is you basically remove this line and you connect it like this. So port 2, which is this one, will be connecting here, and port 1 will be connecting to your turbo. And what happens is when you energize this, it connects port 2 to port 1, which means it just shuts off your turbo here, and then this will just be closed. Now we need to find a spot for this one. Every single bolt hole that I have seems a little bit high. Kind of wish I had one at the bottom somewhere. So, well, found a spot right here. Should be fine. Alright guys, so now that I have the wastegate all hooked up into one line, check this out. Now I verified them before, they all open at the same pressure, and I did adjust a couple of them to make sure that they do open at the same pressure. But now, checking on that, it does look like it's opening all at the same time, which is pretty good. What I'm gonna do now is actually connect this one right here back to the valve, and then connect this into that turbo inlet right there, or turbo source right there. Now I do have to now plug 3 different turbos because they all have these little things right here. And I'm not sure if I have any more of those vacuum plugs. Yeah, doesn't look like I do. Oh shoot, you know what guys, I am missing one hose from here to there, and I think I just used up my last bit of hose. That's perfect. See if I could find something that, I mean, all it is pretty short from here to there, so shouldn't be that hard to find. Hopefully I have something where I cut it up that short. Alright, so I took a bit of a break here. I went back inside and grabbed some food. Now, I don't recall exactly where I left off, so if this doesn't make sense when I start editing it, just keep in mind that I somehow forgot what I was doing. Like, where exactly. I know I was working on a boost controller, but yeah, completely forgot my train of thought when I last left. So as I was saying before, I like to keep these little connectors whenever I part out a car or whenever I'm ripping out a car and I'm dumping a bunch of wiring. I like to keep the wiring, you know, like these are super useful. But also I like to keep connectors like this, especially if it's a matching one, because you never know when you're going to use something like this. Instead of having a, you know, one of those little plug connectors, I prefer to use one of these factory ones. Alright, so here's a full rundown on the boost controller. Now this solenoid, as you guys can see, controls now all the 4 wastegate, which is good. Now it's getting its main source of boost from this turbo right here, and then these 3, they all need to get plugged. So like this one, I need to order a plug because I can't seem to locate what I have, or maybe I used them up and can't remember. Now the wiring for the solenoid is this one right here. I will tuck this in later on through the fender and then come out that way, so it's a little bit cleaner install because I don't like to see this stuff like that. Okay, but that's something temporary. I'll do that when I take out the fender, take off the engine, and do all that good wiring tuck stuff. Now as far as signal through a controller, it gets it through the intake manifold, and it actually uses this line right here and this line right here. Okay. And that line goes here, which then connects to the controller. So far, this controller has now power. It's connected to the solenoid. It's ready to go. Now, as you guys also noticed, I decided to zip tie this thing right here. Seems like a good spot for it. I'm not sure how it's gonna look with the dash in place. It might be a little bit hidden, but you know what? It's just a hazard light. I know where it's gonna be at. When I use it, it'll be there. Okay, now that leaves us this empty spot. Now I decided to cut off my OBD2 because this line, I decided to route it through here, which I could never take it out without having to cut it. So now what I'm gonna have to do is pull this back out, get it through this little hole right here, and then come back to the top and then connect it on this part somewhere here. I need these lines to be on this side, not really anywhere else, because this is gonna be hooking up to the laptop for data logging and of course wideband logging. So once that's removed, this side is officially gonna be done. I'm kind of thinking of wrapping this up with the smaller one, but we'll see. We'll leave that kind of like that for a cleaner look. Maybe I'll cut it off here, wrap this way, and then wrap that way. We'll see. That's just a little bit of cleanup. Now I do have a pigtail that's sticking out. This is gonna be powering to the window. So later we'll figure out how to hook that up. So at this point, guys, we are officially hooked up. All my little gadgets are all hooked up. My wideband's hooked up. All I need to do is put it in the gauge pod, put the dash back on, and we're good to go. We are done. Look at that. That is awesome. Nice and clean. Things are looking good. Again, this is gonna be for the laptop, and that's just gonna be for the gauge pod. You know what? Let's go ahead and actually put back the dash, and let's finish this up. Alright guys, so we are back on. Dash is back on, mounted, solid, and everything. It's kind of neat how the bottom is like that. It's kind of like, reminds me of like an old school car. Pretty neat. I like it like this actually. Now in the future, I'll probably make a cover for the bottom just to hide a little bit more of the wiring like that. But for now, this is how it's gonna sit. So let's turn on the power and see how it looks. Alright, so this is about eye level right here. And as you guys can see, the shift light will be in your peripheral vision, as well as the boost gauge and boost controller. Now I do have the wideband right here. It's a little bit more critical, although to me, it's always like if you lean out on your wideband, it's kind of too late. But I do have a secondary gauge spot right here, and that's going to be for the coolant temperature, as well as possibly for my oil temperature. Alright, so that completes this episode, guys. We are officially done with this part right here. The rest of the stuff we'll just be putting in the seats on both sides, and eventually that will get turned into racing seats. And then the panels on the side will get removed. Well, at least the two back ones will get removed. The two in the front will figure out how to get the windows working and having its own independent wiring harness. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.